Sister, how are you?
Shanti, brother, I'm good. And you?
Yeah, I'm very fine and I'm very excited that we are doing Quran videos now in English. We have already done the first part. So, those who are seeing this video for the first time, please watch the first part. Only then you'll be able to understand the basics of what we are about to say. So, now we are going to cover from the second chapter Al Baqarah, which means the hyper point 90 from 97 we are going to see. Okay, sister, you can read 97 point.
Should I read?
Yeah.
Okay. Say,
Mm.
whoever is hostile to Jibril, it is he who revealed it to your heart by God's leave, confirming what preceded it, and guidance and good news for the believers.
Yes. So this applies both to Muslims and also to Brahma Kumari because so throughout the second chapter, especially what we see recently, it is quite frequently mentioned that if it is God's words, it should prove the truth of whatever was descended before that. Like if you take Quran, before that Bible was descended. Even before that Torah was descended. Even before that Ramayana, Mahabharata, Gita, there are plenty of religions. So it should prove only then it is God's words. If it disproves Bible, it could not be God's words. If it disproves Torah, it can't be God's words. So that's the main thing. So here, if you are hostile to Gabriel, who actually is responsible for giving Quran to Muhammad, uh, so you have to say them that it is God who actually gives us this knowledge. You should be able to prove it. You have to prove, for example, if you take Ibrahim's story, God uh, asked Ibrahim to sacrifice his child that he gave birth at his 100th years of age. But he was ready to sacrifice without any hesitation. So the same story was even in Hinduism. God Shiva, he comes in the form of a devotee and he asked one of his devotees to cook his child's uh, body so that he can feed on it. So this actually never happened. None of what religions say, they never happened for real. But they have the secret behind it. What is that secret? If you believe it is God who gave you your son, wife, property, health, you should be ready to give up that for the sake of God whenever He asks you. God is not going to ask you to kill your own child, but obviously He will die at some point, whether it is your kid or husband or father. Death is predetermined. If you die, if you cry when they die, it means you have already developed the faith. It is not Allah's, but it is yours, which means you are cheating God. God has given you to look after it temporarily, not permanently. So, whenever He asks, you should be able to give it back to Him. So, that's the message of Ibrahim's story and the story I said in Hinduism. So, God never asked to kill animal or human. That's not God's way. He is always loving, but He wants us to stay detached. So now we are able to prove the Quran story, Bible story, and Hinduism. Because it is through Brahma Kumaris, God says you should give up those five vices: lust, anger, greed, attachment, and ego. These five vices are collectively called Satan or Satan or Maya or Ravan. So, God, that's the clear message. That's the only message, very simple message. You need to remember God as much as possible as a point of light. And you also have to consider yourself to be a point of light. That is the soul that resides in between your eyebrows. So the more you remember God, more you will be able to uh, remain in soul conscious state. So if you are soul conscious, you will no longer have attachment even to your own body. So no need to say about the attachment towards others, bodies, and whatever is around you. So that's the clear God's message. So now we are able to prove both Quran, Torah, whatever religious scriptures that came before that, because only the God's knowledge will be able to prove that. Others, they just disprove each other, which is the main reason for conflict between religions. So that's the thing. Whoever, so although it mentions about uh, descending of Quran, but in actuality, it refers to what's happening now. Because whatever religious scriptures, they didn't happen for real, but they are just forecasting what will happen in the end. So whatever we are facing now, that was mentioned beforehand in Quran, Bible, Ramayana, Mahabharata, whatever religious scripture you take. So that's the thing. And it should also prove that this shows the truth. Especially if you are a believer, not everybody is going to believe what God says, because they will hold on to their own religion. They will refuse to give up their religion. They will refuse to give up what their religion say. So only 1 in million will be able to find the true God and his true teachings. So for him, and it is our duty to say this knowledge to everybody. It is up to them whether or not they accept it. But we should be able to give them. So in the upcoming verses, you will see that. Okay, sister. Now let's go to the 98th point.
Whoever is hostile to God and his angels and his messengers and Jibrail and Michael, God is hostile to the faithless.
That's the thing. So first he says, whoever opposes Allah, which means God, and opposes angels. So angels are actually the residents of heaven. So that's why we said in the first part itself, we were the residents of heaven in the beginning for the first 2500 years, because we were filled with only divine qualities, and we are free of devilish qualities like lust, anger, greed, attachment, and ego. So that's why we were angels or deities. So those who oppose them, many religions, they consider the deities as Satans. So, and those who oppose, what comes next, sister?
Those who oppose God and his angels,
And
the ones who who were made for the religions. How do you say it?
okay, 1 second, let me take.
Jesus, Muhammad.
That is 98th point, right? And his messengers. Yes. Okay. So now, angels refer to both things. 1 second. Angels. So other than Hindus, nobody is believing in angels for real. But Hindus believe angels to be God, but angels are not gods. It is through God that we become angels after listening to God's knowledge towards the end of this old world. So, in the last 100 years, God Himself descends on one old man's body and gives this teaching, which is available absolutely free of cost in all Brahma Kumaris Rajyog meditation centers. So, we are receiving teachings directly from God, and we don't hold it to ourselves. We are giving that to everybody. So we are giving the God's message to everybody, which means we are the messengers. So obviously they are not going to believe us as well. They reject us. They reject angels. They reject God. Whoever rejects all of those things, and also they have mentioned Jibrail and Michelle, uh, who is who are actually the they are not actually messengers. They are the religious founders, because through them religions have been established. So
Religious founders are Muhammad and
Muhammad,
Jesus,
Jesus Christ, Buddha,
and
there are
these
many
angels. Mikhail and
uh,
Jibrail are angels.
angels. Yeah,
And they
because
are also mentioned, the
mm,
same angels are
mm,
also mentioned in Bible,
yeah, yeah,
but
it is
with different
mentioned.
names. In Bible,
Yeah,
they are Gabriel and
mm,
Michael,
mm,
and in Quran, they call them Jibrail and Mikhail.
yeah,
So
just
it's the
the
same angels,
slight difference in
just different
pronunciation.
names. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. So God is hostile to the faithless. If you are hostile to God, He is also hostile to you. To those who don't believe God, God's angels, God's messengers. But according to Quran, here they say about Jibril and Mikael. But according to God, He says He doesn't actually hate anybody, because God is ever loving. Because if He wants to hate the sinner, He has to hate the whole world, because
Yeah,
everybody
but
is a sinner here.
hostile,
Yeah,
for
hostile.
me,
Mm,
hostile doesn't mean he
mm,
is an enemy. It
mm,
means if you are enemy to something, that's gonna be enemy to you. Because if you don't listen to God, if you are
mm,
doing bad things, of course, it's
mm,
gonna go back to you on some way. So,
that's
of course, God is not our enemy.
the
Of
enemy.
course, He is
Yeah,
not our
that's
enemy.
true.
But we can be our own enemies.
One
And
enemy. That's the truth.
He's,
Yeah, that's
He's
the
our
truth.
biggest connection that we have
Mm,
actually as a
yeah,
soul. He's
yeah.
our biggest connection and the biggest example.
Mm,
And if we are enemy to the biggest example,
mm,
that's gonna cost us, and it's gonna be enemy to us, not in a way that God gonna do something
correct.
bad to us. We're gonna do something bad
To
to
ourselves.
ourselves.
That's true. That's true. That's the thing. So, because we had been sinning for the past 2500 years by falling for lust, anger, greed, attachment, and ego, these five vices. So, here, hostile to God means rejecting the words of God, rejecting the message of God to stay away from these five vices, and rejecting the message of God to imbibe the power by remembering God as a point of light. Only then we will be able to stay away from those five vices. If you are rejecting that, the word of God that is given to them through us messengers, you are doing yourself bad. God is not going to be the loser. It is you who rejects this message who is going to end up the loser. So that's the actual meaning of the 98th verse, sister.
Yes.
Mm. And also, 99 comes the interesting verse. You go on with it,
Should I read?
sisters. Mm.
Should I read?
Yeah,
We have revealed to you clear signs, and no one rejects them except the sinners.
yeah, that's the thing. So, what's the clear sign? Because we are saying about everything, about all religions. See, this is the actual meaning of this. So that's the clear sign. Despite that, if you are rejecting, here in Quran it is mentioned you're a sinner. Anyway, everybody is a sinner here. But if you reject this, you will continue to remain a sinner. Because God comes to absolve us from the sins we have committed in the past. But he has come to rescue us from the sinful world and to take us to the pure world called heaven. But if you are not holding his hand, which means holding on to his words, then you will remain the sinner and you will end up in this sinful world forever.
Yes, but
That's
this
the
is
thing.
connected to the religion.
Mm.
This written in Quran, so it means that it's like if you don't listen to the words written here, or probably in Bible there is the same verses,
Yeah, it's there.
but
Mm.
there is so many unexplained things, and the religion is not the highest level of the spiritual path. So
Yeah, that's the thing.
even on
Really?
this level,
Mm.
even on the level of religion, you can be better or worse.
Yeah, because it has both the
Really
words of
follow
God
your
and words of
heart. If you
Satan.
really follow your heart,
Yeah,
if you
that's the
really
thing.
follow your heart, you're
Mm.
gonna connect to God on
Yes,
the highest level. And that
that's
is the
the thing.
importance.
That's the
To
truth.
really follow your heart, not only the
Mm.
words
Yeah.
that you read here, because it means that you really need to follow the truth
Mm.
that is inside of you.
Mm.
And if you don't have higher truth, it means it's not written inside of you, the highest truth. So you will not gonna reveal it.
That's true. And another thing is, if you observe closely, the main intention behind these verses is to make those who believe in their religions to follow this one. That's the thing. So that's what we are doing. We are showing the proof from their own scriptures. See, this is what is mentioned there. So, for example, in Quran and Bible, in the beginning, when God creates the world, it is mentioned that He creates Adam out of clay. He breathes His breath into Adam and brings him alive. Now, what we are saying is, you shouldn't take that directly. It has a inner deep spiritual meaning because the creation actually happens every 5,000 years once, because we become like clay, which means our body is made of 5 elements. Usually they refer this to clay. So it means that we are so body conscious that we forget the fact who we truly are. And God gives his introduction and the introduction about us and brings us alive. That is, brings us back to soul conscious. That's how we were originally. So this is mentioned everywhere. In Hinduism, it is mentioned Kumbhakaran was sleeping and everybody was blowing trumpet in his ear to wake him up. So it represents just not one person. It represents the whole mankind. And God wakes us up by giving this knowledge constantly through Brahma Kumaris. And also in Bible and Quran, Moses, according to God's directions, brings the slaves of Egypt uh, to the world promised by God. So it doesn't mean he is rescuing slaves of human beings. He is rescuing the slaves of these 5 vices according to God's direction. So there Moses actually represents we, Brahmakumaris, who wants to rescue others from these 5 vices. Even in Ramayana, Ram rescues Sita from Ravan, which we already said these 5 vices. The whole world is Sita. So all Sitas are being rescued by Ram by giving his teaching. So while she was under the imprisonment of Ravan, the only thing she was doing is remembering Ram all the time. So the name is mixed. Actually, actually it should be God Shiva. So that's the name of the God, and he is called Allah by Muslims and Heavenly Godfather by Christians. So none who takes birth from a mother's womb can be considered God. God never takes birth and death like we do. He doesn't have a body, which is why we can't see him. That's why in Hinduism they have Shivling instead of human form. Shivling means God is a point of light. So they have created a large structure of that, which is the upper of Shivling, and the lower of is Brahma, into whom God enters and gives this knowledge. So that actually represents the mouth of Brahma, the lotus mouth of Brahma, which is why the lower of Shivling is designed like a lotus. That is called Gomukh in Hindi, which means the mouth of a cow. Interestingly, the chapter we are seeing is also named cow,
Yes.
heifer. Yeah. So it is to the cow God speaks. So the cow means the soul. He doesn't speak to cow or any animals. He speaks to us, but that is mentioned as cow in Hinduism everywhere. That is humans. So God says in Quran and Bible not to worship cow, which means don't follow the dictates of humans. Follow only the dictate of me, because God is one, his teaching is one. That teaching alone takes you to heaven, and God gives this teaching just before the creation of heaven, because that's when it is needed. If you take Jesus Christ, he comes just before the creation of Christianity, because that's when he is needed. Likewise, God comes in the end, according to many religious faiths, just to establish heaven by giving the knowledge required to convert humans into deities, into divine beings. So that's what we are saying. It is, if you apply this knowledge to any religion, it will correctly fit and give the true spiritual meaning. But that's not, you can't prove another religion with another religion. Only with God we can prove the truth of it. That is quite frequently mentioned here. So despite our effort to make them believe that God has come, God is giving his teachings directly, people are going to disprove it, going to reject it. Why? Because they don't want to give up the vices. Because in their religions, there is no restriction to have sex, to get angry, to kill, to eat a non vegetarian. You can do anything, just you pray. That's it. That's enough. That's what people, world people are doing. Then how can you enter heaven if there is no difference between others and you? There's a big difference between heaven and hell. There everybody is soul conscious. God is not going to allow you just like that. Just by chanting his name, it is not that easy to enter. You don't have to even chant my name. Just remember me as your heavenly Father, and you have to imbibe all the divine qualities which we receive through his direct teachings called Murlis, which is available absolutely free of cost in Brahmakumaris Rajog meditation centers. Only then you will be able to enter the kingdom of heaven, which is established directly by God. You can check for yourself, ask yourself whether what we say is true or what you have believed so far is true. That's what God says. It is our duty to deliver this message. It is up to you to take this or be as you are. That's up to you. So that's why Christians say God gives you the free will to decide. So that happens right now. Okay, sister. You can. So God says, Except sinners, everybody will accept this. But nobody accepts this, which means everybody wants to be the sinner. They don't want to give up sins because they think it is right, it is true to indulge in sensual pleasures. So God says, even in Quran, in heaven, you will be given pure wives, which means here the wives you have are prostitutes, right? That's the difference between pure wives and impure wives. So what makes the difference? They are pure. They don't know what lust is. Here they indulge in lust all the time. That's the difference. Without giving up lust, how can you imagine even going to heaven?
There is always for people, they
Mm.
always say like, how if I go to purity and I give up lust and I give
Yeah.
up sexual pleasure and all of that,
Mm.
how Ray is gonna go further? Who gonna
Yeah.
give
Yeah.
birth to the children?
Yeah. God
And
says,
it means that
why do you
it
worry
means
of,
that they are very important, that they don't understand
yeah.
really.
And another thing is, they, although they say like that, they don't worry about the world. They just need some reason to indulge in sensual pleasures.
Yeah, I know.
That's the thing. They are rationalizing this. But we are seeing the destruction of the world right before
But
our
there
eyes.
is also a big question
Mm,
for the souls.
mm,
Why they are so afraid to
mm,
not indulge in vice?
mm,
What is there for them if they give up things that they believe that they are the only right things?
mm.
What is for them? They feel like they lose something. They feel like they
Yeah,
don't live fully
that's true. Because,
because they
yeah,
think that they have to live this material life fully and that they have to have all the pleasure and all of these things, like they are losing something.
yeah,
But can you really lose anything if you are aware who you are? Can you really lose anything if you want to connect to God and if you want to go to the higher state of consciousness and
that's
higher vibration? No, you cannot lose anything. So
mm,
it's just fear of unknown because you don't know what is really behind that. You don't know, you don't understand. And there is a fear. What if that is not true? What if I really
mm,
believe in that and
mm.
that doesn't really like
Yeah.
it's not good for me?
Yeah, they feel they are sacrificing everything because that's the only pleasure Satan gives them. So that's
Yeah,
the
but
pleasure
that
given
is
by
not real
Satan.
pleasure. That is
Mm.
not real pleasure because it's
Yeah,
you need
that's
purpose
addiction.
for that pleasure. And the real pleasure is behind
Yeah,
senses.
yeah,
Cannot
yeah,
feel the pleasure
yeah.
without indulging in
Mm.
sensual activities.
Yes,
It means you didn't really recognize who you really are and you didn't recognize the God's power.
that's
So
the thing.
yeah,
And
that's really
for
powerful.
them, our answer is, you know how sensual pleasures feel like. You are very experienced in that, but you have no experience of what we are speaking. Why can't you give it a try? Why can't you give up lust just for 6 months? Then you will know the difference. Now you are not even trying that. That's the difference. You
You
know,
don't
yeah,
even get a chance.
yeah, and also you know the disadvantage of indulging in lust, because that's going to make you more and more addictive. You will never get enough of it. Nobody has ever got satisfied by indulging in sensual pleasures, especially lust. Recently in India, a young medical student was raped and brutally murdered. So, by a cop, not by an ordinary person, inside the hospital premise. While she was on duty, she was taking rest in the seminar hall. A cop who is supposed to uh, give safety to them, he entered the seminar hall, finds her alone, and he tries to rape her, and she was obviously resisting that. So he was brutally kicking him because obviously men will have more physical strength. More than that, he's a cop and also a boxer, trained boxer. So he broke her collarbone. There was when they find her dead body in the morning, there was no single organ that was not bleeding. Everybody was shocked. How can there be blood in eyes, mouth, nose, everywhere when they are raping? So everywhere, including her genital, everywhere it was bleeding, and everybody was shouting. They were fighting against the this cruelty against women. But lust is the actual cruelty against women. You are sowing the seed, but you don't want it to bear the fruit. The fruit of lust is rape, homosexuality, and mental craziness. That's what it is going to lead you to. If not today, tomorrow you will also be in the same path. That's the thing. So if you give up, maybe of course it will take time, because people are so addicted to these five vices for the past 2500 years. We agree it is difficult, but it is not impossible, because this is not man's direction, God's direction. So it is possible by living together as a couple when you are married, but still you can be celibate. It is possible. But no
There's
religion
more
knows that.
respect.
Mm.
There is more respect, and there is more like you look other as a soul, not
Soul.
as a
Yeah,
who gonna give you pleasure.
that's
So
true.
it's very
That
important.
that's
That is
true.
like
That's true.
totally different energy, totally different vibe.
Yeah. When you see your wife as a sex toy, that is when you treat her like that and you will try to dominate her. That's the reason for domestic violence. Everything. If you consider her as a soul, and when you know the secrets of soul, because it is in the soul, there is the recording of the 84 births. That's the maximum number of births we take in this 5000-year time cycle. And everything we do, we speak, everything is pre recorded here. So every soul acts according to what it's already recorded there. Once you are aware of it, you will not get angry with your wife, husband, kid, parent, your officer, your worker, because you know they are playing their own part. So such is God's knowledge. Only when you know this, you will stay peaceful. But if you follow the
Yeah, and
path of
also
religion, eventually they end up in violence. In the beginning, everything will start with love, but in the end, they will say, if somebody is against you or your religion, go kill him. It is mentioned in everywhere: Bible, Quran, Gita, Ramayana, Mahabharata, whatever religion you take. That's the human dictate. But God says, if somebody slaps you, don't slap him back. Instead, take it in another cheek. That is the true thing of God, which is also revealed in Bible as words of
that's
Christ.
why Baba wants us
Mm.
to protect our energy because it's easy
Yeah,
to fall into lower vibration.
yeah,
That's
that's true.
why the
That's true.
food
That's true.
we eat is pure, and
Mm.
we should not eat from others, and so many things,
Mm.
because it's easy to get to that dirty
Mm.
atmosphere
Yes,
and to also do the sin.
that's true.
So, okay, you can make mistakes once, twice, but when you realize it's not what you really want, it's
Mm.
important to really follow the path and uh, go higher and higher in your purity.
True, sister.